What's up, everybody? Welcome to Gaming Without Parole. My name's Bryan. Paul sitting across from me. Oh, I didn't come up with a word this week. The ever-illustrious Mike Zeller.
Yep, here I am.
You seem so happy to be here.
I am. I'm always happy to be here, Bryan. Where else would I rather be? Nowhere. I'd just be home playing video games.
In that 2 seconds silence, I came up with 20 places you'd rather be.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike, this is Gaming Without Parole.
It sure is.
It's not the best podcast on the internet.
No, but, you know, yeah.
We're off to a great start.
We are. We're really hitting out of the park this week.
Mike, why don't you explain to anyone who hasn't seen this, explain to anyone who's not one of the 20 people who's watched this, what we do here on Gaming Without Parole.
We ostensibly talk about video games and our lives, but we usually just end up talking about really rare, like, SNES games at length. Yep.
It's about the best I can ask for.
Yeah.
Mike, your cat was on America's Funniest Home Videos.
He was, yeah, he was. He's famous now.
I didn't see it. You must have.
I didn't see it either. I had somebody was paying me to do a music thing, and I couldn't come up with any way to say, sorry, my cat is on TV, that did not make me sound like a huge idiot. So, yep, so I skipped it. But I had people record it for me, so.
Awesome. I can only assume. I feel like they put all the cat videos and all the pet videos in like one big montage, and they're like, "Oh, here's something funny. Here's something funny. Here's something funny." They don't really give it a lot of attention.
No, it was like maybe 2.5 seconds of screen time.
Wow.
Which is, you know, even when I took the video, I was like, "This isn't really that funny."
Yeah.
But I could see them putting it on with one of these clips, montages of stupid cat stuff.
Now, back in the day, people used to send VHS tapes to America's Funniest Home Videos. How does it work now?
Yeah, you just upload a file.
Here you go.
It's like an FTP.
Like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, it's not 2 seconds. There are a ton of forms that you have to fill out because you have to sign over like all possible rights of this clip.
So they own the video now.
Yeah. They own my cat too. They came to my house and they took him the other day.
He's kind of lazy. Now, you sign away all these rights, and they're making money off of it. Do you make anything off of it?
They sent me a T-shirt. It was the wrong size.
Does it say, "My cat's famous and all I got was this lousy T-shirt"?
No, I was hoping it would say something like that. It just says America's Funniest Home Video. It's pretty basic. I don't even know, like, I told them what size that I wanted, and so I was all, like, excited when I opened it, and it was, I asked for a medium, and it was a large, and I'm like, well, I guess I sometimes wear larges. Like, let's see, like, there's definitely a range. I feel like the men's large has a pretty drastic...
It depends where you're shopping.
Yeah,
If you're shopping at Walmart, yeah, they're built for, like, people who are houses.
So I unfold it, and I'm just like, oh, shit. And I was like, well, I think it said 100% cotton. Maybe it'll shrink a little bit. So I roll out the tag, and it says pre-shrunk. So I'm like, damn it. The only thing I can think of is when I told them medium, and, like, after they hung up the phone, they're like, listen, we know the kinds of people that send cat videos to us. You're getting a large. We know our user base a little, our viewer base a little bit.
I think the most important part of this story has yet to be addressed. What happened during that 2.5 seconds that was America's Funniest Home Videos worthy?
He just was going after his image in the mirror like he does because he's the cat and he's stupid. He was just pounding on my bathroom mirror like it was some kind of kettle drum or something. Yep. So there's spoilers for anybody who is waiting to catch up on America's Funniest Home Videos. You know, for me, the experience is just it's been a show that for almost my entire life has brought me such unadulterated joy. I mean, I have watched so many like fat people fall off of boats or like kids get bit on the ass by dogs or things and it's made me so happy. I'm glad that, you know, I could just contribute because I don't think the show's got that many more years left in it.
But I thought that when they first debuted it, because it's been a one-trick pony since day one. It's people falling off shit, old people getting kicked in the balls by their kids, and no, that's it. Oh, and cat videos.
Yep, cat videos. Yeah, and well, it is a one-trick pony, but it's a one-trick pony that a lot of other ponies, or its one trick is something that a lot of other ponies kind of do a lot better now that there's the internet.
And old people make up a considerable market for these things.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, time to see, who hosts it now?
It's Tom Bergeron.
Okay. Because the last time I saw it, Bob Saget was still hosting.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes it 20 years ago?
Yeah, it was a pretty, it's 20, I think it's the 25th anniversary this year. So, yeah, I've been watching this show basically since I was old enough to go to school.
So you still watch it on a regular basis?
Yeah, wow. I do. But and
I remember even being a kid and being kind of cringing at the thought of hanging out with my folks and watching this. Like there were things that I used to watch the Star Trek: The Next Generation with my dad, and there were shows that like we all enjoyed as a family, and I enjoyed Alf as a child. And looking back, that's a horrible show, and I loved it, and I used to cringe at America's Funniest Home Videos. So
I don't know, man.
I don't know where that puts you.
Yeah, I do not apologize for my unadulterated enthusiasm for America's Funniest Home Videos.
I'm not asking you to.
I mean,
I've gone on record.
I read Shakespeare. I watch old black and white movies, and I love those too. But I love America's Funniest Home Videos.
I've gone on record in saying that when it comes to film, like TV shows, movies, anything, I hate anything funny. I don't feel like that's ever been properly conveyed in that medium to me. So I guess that show is just not for me.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's got too many more years in it nowadays. But
I can cross one thing off the list.
There you go.
And cross cat off the list. So you know what happened to me this week? And you're gonna laugh because you were here the last time this happened. My refrigerator broke.
Oh no!
Yeah. The last one I had was basically a brand new refrigerator, and that was only about a year ago. So now I'm on my third or maybe fourth refrigerator in the 7 years I've been here.
You might want to check that outlet. Is there something wrong with the wiring?
I asked the maintenance guy, and he said there's no way there could be anything wrong with it. And I was like, I'm not a maintenance guy. I'm gonna have to believe it.
As he took fat rips off of a blunt.
Right.
It's like, nah, there's nothing wrong there.
Yeah. So
he repeatedly pressed the closed door button in the elevator.
The worst part about the refrigerator dying isn't that I have to buy a new refrigerator. It's that I literally went grocery shopping.
Oh, that sucks.
A day before. So I had like $70 or $80 worth of brand new groceries in the fridge. And as soon as I realized that it wasn't working, I just started eating a lot. Because I was like, I'll be damned if this is going to go to waste.
Yeah.
So like for 2 or 3 days straight, I just ate nonstop.
Like not even cooking it, just like shoveling it in.
Well, and as the freezer was getting down to like room temperature, I just started cooking things. Like I was like, I'm eating what I can, but then I'm cooking this, and I'll eat you in about 4 hours. Like just because I was like, I can't let it sit at room temperature any longer, so I'm just gonna cook it and eat it, and I feel gross. Like I felt kind of sick for a couple of days, and it wasn't because I was eating like contaminated food. It was because I was eating pounds upon pounds of food, and I'm not a huge eater in general.
Yeah,
I do enjoy my pizza, but when I'm not eating pizza, I don't enjoy much.
Yeah, are you currently vegan or how? Okay, so
for the last month or two now.
So, at least the types of food that you were eating were probably not like super toxic or anything. I mean, if I ate everything in my fridge right off the jump, I would probably die. Like, I do not think I would survive. Yeah. There would be a lethal volume of something in that amount.
Yeah, well, the reason I got back on the vegan wagon is because what I was eating before being vegan was, I mean, too disgusting to really talk about.
It's just like
on the air.
A pile of McDonald's hamburgers wrapped in a pizza.
I wish it was that. I wish it was that. My life is, I would say, an open book, but I am not willing to disclose the types of food I was eating 2 months ago.
That's pretty bad.
Really bad.
You're just under bleachers, like scraping off whatever's crusted in there.
Now we can cross refrigerator off the list. Oh, we're halfway there.
Yeah, there we go.
This is going to be a nice short podcast.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So Mike, back on the video game topic.
Oh, yeah.
As we like to avoid so much. What have you been playing this week?
So, I mean, I've been playing 2 super long RPGs, so that's kind of been my focus. But
still doing Bravely Default.
Yep. Yeah, and kind of staggering my way through Xenoblade when I have time. I've hit kind of a sticking point in both of those games. I mean, something that will be overcome, but something that's making it kind of drag. There's a side quest that I know I have to finish in Bravely Default before I progress the story, or I'll lose it.
Okay.
And it involves fighting like 6 really tough bosses, like kind of in a row. So it's been a lot of level grinding and job grinding to do that. And then in Xenoblade, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to leave the 15 hours in. I'm ready to leave the starting town. But they just keep giving me side quests. Like I've had to have done 2 or 3 dozen of them. Wow. And like every time I go back to the town, there's more of them, and I'm like, well, I want to finish these before I move on, because I don't know. I mean, this is a game that I'm sure I will be able to come back here eventually, but I don't know when. You know, I want to leave here with the top.
Right. And if you have ways to level up and kind of prepare yourself for the rest of the adventure, it's like, why not do it?
Yeah, and they're not hard and they're not lengthy. Like,
right. Okay. So
yeah, that's been kind of what I've been. But I've been mixing into that. Some new Super Smash Brothers again. I know I had said back when I first started playing the Wii U version at the tail end of the 3DS one, I was kind of...
Seemed a bit like overkill.
Yeah, so it is as I predicted, though. It's a game that's very easy to jump back into, and now that it's been a couple months, I was like, oh, you know, I want to go do some more, you know, trophies and unlock some more stuff, you know, play through the game with a few more characters. And there's so much more content in this one than in the 3DS one. Yeah. A little bit of time will give you a lot more stuff to kind of shuffle through. So,
have you played any of the 8-player battles?
Oh yeah.
I mean, how chaotic is that?
I mean, regular Smash Brothers with 4 people was already pretty nutty.
Right.
There's a few. So they had made a big deal about, you know, you can only do 8 players in a few arenas because like the others just can't handle it. I don't know what their criteria was for deciding that, because like one of the 8-player stages is I think it's called Jungle Japes. It's been around since like the very beginning of Smash Brothers, and it's like the Donkey Kong stage.
Okay.
And it's super tiny, and like it's just this little hovering platform with 2 other little hovering platforms, and it's like curved too, which makes a lot of the attacks kind of difficult to aim. So it's just like they just drop everybody and they all just slide into the middle of this bucket. And so it's just a mass of like writhing cartoon characters.
That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah.
It sounds ridiculous. Like it doesn't have anything to do with strategy. It's just, let's just beat the fuck out of each other.
Yeah, it's, you know, it is pretty funny. But it's very random. I mean, it's pretty much just pound on the attack button for a few minutes until about half of the people on screen are dead, and then you can start being a little bit more like tactical and agile. The problem with that is, though, for some of the like unlocks or the challenges, it's like you have to play through a sequence of difficult battles, and like any one of them could wind up being one like that.
Okay.
And so it's like, well, I've just spent half an hour, you know, carefully fighting my way through this, and suddenly like there's 8 guys here and a hammer fell in the middle, and now I'm dead in 2 seconds before I even realized like what was going on. Because one thing that annoys the fuck out of me with this newest Smash Brothers is right before the match starts, like everyone's standing there, you can see the screen but you can't move, and it says like, you hear the announcer say ready, go, and you see, you know, ready comes up on the screen, and then go comes up on the screen. As soon as go comes up on the screen, the battle's live and the enemies start swinging, but there's a big fucking go on the screen. You can't see anything.
That's pretty ridiculous.
It is. And it's like, again, it almost never matters, but when you're like 15 battles into this run, and you know, and Ganondorf is standing right next to you, and he punches you off the screen before you can even see like where your character is, it's kind of obnoxious.
Like, I want to love Smash Brothers. I want to love it. Ah, man.
You know, the way that you play video games, I don't think any of these problems would ever come up, because you'd have moved on before like you started doing any of these real high-end things.
Yeah, I do have some ADD issues.
Yeah.
I was thinking OCD because my games from OCD reproductions came in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I picked up Magical Pop-In on the SNES. I picked up 3 NES games. It was Splatterhouse,
Okay. Yep.
Moon Crystal, and something else. Oh, Banana Prince.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I gotta say, man, like OCD Reproductions is like my new favorite place to get.
You said they're
repros
pretty
from.
inexpensive too.
Pretty inexpensive. The NES ones, for the most part, are $28 or $30. They can go a little bit higher depending on certain parts.
That's really good for a repro if it's made well.
And they are. I mean, the labels are super high quality. Everything played the very first time I put it in. And my NES isn't great. So the fact that I didn't need to like wiggle the cartridge or anything was a good sign. And yeah, they look super professional and they play really good. And there are a couple more expensive ones that require certain donor carts that are harder to find.
Yeah.
So I understand that. But even like, I mean, even for the most expensive one, I think I found on the site, it was maybe like $90, and that was for a specific SNES game, I think. If you're willing to pay it, they've got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So there is one game they don't have though that I'm interested in playing. I'd like to have a repro of it, and you probably know this. I'm behind the game on a lot of this. Do you know Holy Diver?
Oh yeah. It's the that was an unreleased NES game, right?
Was it? I believe.
Or was it?
I believe it was just a Famicom game.
Okay.
It never came out here, so yeah definitely unreleased.
Maybe I'm thinking
Nintendo.
It was they were planning on releasing it in the U.S. and it didn't. It's kind of like a Castlevania knockoff.
It looks very much like that. I was watching a Let's Play and I was just like, this looks like so much fun. I could play this for 5 or 6 minutes. And
before putting it on the shelf and never looking at it again.
Never. I can only assume that one day I'm going to be unemployed and I won't be able to buy anything. And that's the day I'm preparing for. The day that I have to play what I have because I can't buy anything new.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do too. A lot of I feel like so much of collecting is planning for situations that will never arise. Like,
I don't know, I'm pretty unstable.
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like I could be fired any day now.
Yeah, for me, it's the same kind of thing. Yeah, don't fire Bryan. Be the saddest podcast. I feel like for me, it is the same kind of thing. I'm always like, well, eventually I'm probably gonna have to, I'll have other financial responsibilities, and I'll have all of these cool games to go back to.
Kids, something,
yeah,
right?
or I think about like, or
maybe you just need the games to sell for your kid's education. Like, oh, you want to go to college? Buy Earthbound.
Wah, wah. Oh man, I was at That's Entertainment the other day when some teenager bought the copy of Earthbound that they had. I really thought he was going to shit himself. He was so excited.
Now, what copy did they have? Was it in box? Was it just the cartridge?
No,
or?
it was just the cartridge. But they sold it for like $200 or something. Wow. So, yeah, he was like visibly shaking, and I
That's so exciting.
I mean, on some level, I was like dork, but like,
Well, how old was he?
I mean, he was probably like 19 or 20.
That's awesome.
But I was
I used to be more excited about.
I know,
things.
but I was. The 15-year-old in me was like, oh, that's such a cool moment. Like, I can remember that.
Yeah.
Dork.
He's probably been looking for it for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And like, who knows? Like, a lot of times people can't buy things online. Maybe they don't have a credit card or a debit card or whatever. Speaking of which,
or they're currently incarcerated.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, sometimes finding things in stores is the only way you can buy it. And I gotta say that as much as I love our favorite video game comic book store, they haven't had a lot of really cool stuff recently. Like
they got
been
gutted.
pretty weak.
Yeah,
people must have come in and just bought everything.
Yeah,
I hadn't been in months, and then I went recently, and I was like, "There's nothing here." But I think the point of that story is that I can't go months between each visit. You have to go like every week and see if like something's there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, somebody is going to buy it because the cool stuff goes fast.
Yeah.
Speaking of cool stuff, maybe you can help me on this.
Okay.
Have you've beaten Demon's Crest or no?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So I sat down to finally do the video for the third part of my never-ending backlogged series. And I played for 2 hours. And it was a lot of fun. And I'm just kind of going blind. I'm flying around and just landing in locations and being like, oh, I can't reach this thing. I'll come back when I have a thing to get it. And there was one guy, like there's one place where you go, kind of near the starting place, and he's this boss kind of character, and you go and he beats the hell out of you, and then you beat him, and the game ends. And I was like, oh.
It ended?
Yeah, I won in 2 hours. And I didn't have nearly, like, almost any of the power-ups. Like, I only was able to transform into 2 different types of gargoyles, the earth and fire or something like that. And I only had, like, 1 potion. Like, didn't even buy all the slots for all the potions and that kind of stuff, or the scrolls, whatever they're calling them. And I was like, I beat this game way too early.
Yeah.
So now I have to go back and make another video and play through it again and avoid killing that boss. Because I think, am I right in saying that like they made the final boss available from the very beginning?
No, you shouldn't. You have to. There's a bunch of shit that you got to unlock before you can go for the final boss. Were you fighting the bird looking guy, or?
Yeah, he was. He was kind of a bird-looking guy. He was flying back and forth. He keeps swooping down, that was. And I mean, it took like 15 tries to beat him. Like it was a lot of work. It took us a while to figure out his attack pattern, and then once we did, we were like, oh, we got it.
I don't know. I don't remember that. I mean, there are multiple endings to that game, but I thought they were all kind of tied into the actual last boss fight, as opposed. I didn't know you could win early.
Yeah. Okay. I got to go back and explore more. You know, that's kind of the weird thing about going to play some of these old games with no knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't have any Nintendo Power sitting around, you know.
Yeah.
Even in my old EGMs didn't help out. I don't have the instruction manual, you know, like I didn't know who this person was that I was fighting. Like there's a lot of question marks when you play an old game, which I think will probably tie into our conversation later. And I was just a little bit surprised. I was like, "There's no way this is a 2-hour game." And I was waiting after the credits were done rolling.
Yeah.
It's like there's got
for like the real ending.
Well, I figured it was going to throw me back into the game and be like, okay, now go and like find the rest of your powers and find the true boss, or at least be a new game plus or something like that. And it was just over, like to the point where like the end screen was said like Capcom the end or something like that.
That's so weird.
It didn't even bring me back to the title screen. It was like it was just when it just locks at the end.
It just melted the cartridge right there in your
had to
SNES.
reset the console. So this is weird, which I think will make an interesting video for sure.
Game just unexpectedly ends. That's weird. No, I don't. Again, I played that game quite a number of years ago. I bought it back when it was like kind of cheap. So I don't know. That's so bizarre.
Very bizarre. All right, I didn't know if you had any insight, but moving on. Hey, we can cross something else off the list.
There we go.
All right,
we're just tearing through it today.
I wonder what gut glob means.
Before the podcast started, when I came over, Bryan said, so I've just been walking around just writing random things in my notebook, and I'm hoping I'm going to remember it all. Apparently, we're now hitting that section of the notes.
I don't know what gut glob means. We'll get back to it.
Yeah.
So
we'll get it in post.
So I was playing something this week that I was a little bit nervous, a little bit hesitant about playing. But since I pre-ordered the collector's edition, I said I better get around to this. I've been playing Bloodborne this week.
Oh, okay.
And first of all, I'm really bad at Bloodborne.
Well, I think everybody's probably bad at Bloodborne.
Everyone's better at Bloodborne than I am, which is fine. I'm okay with it. I knew going in, I was like, I play Demon Souls. I've watched people play Dark Souls. These are not games I'm going to be good at. But I want to be. And I feel like I can be. So right off, Bloodborne, it's a beautiful game. It is like, oftentimes, it's fun to just kind of look around the environment until somebody jumps out and kills you. So you're always on edge, and I'm sure that everything I'm going to say you're going to relate to, having played Dark Souls. You played both of them, right?
I played all three, Demon Souls and the 2 Dark Souls.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think from everything I can tell, this is might as well be Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
Just with a different setting. And I do like the different setting. I like that it's vampires and werewolves and that kind of thing. Because, the Dark Souls setting didn't really work for me. The whole medieval... if that's an adjective.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm really enjoying my time with it. That said, I've been playing for 8 or 9 hours, and I'm only about 20 minutes into the game. Told you I was bad. But I'm learning something every time I play.
You're just starting out in the tutorial, and it's like, move left stick to walk, and you're like, and your guy just explodes. Ah!
It often feels like that. Yeah. So, I also just got to the point, guys, anybody watching who's played Bloodborne, just don't make fun of me.
You have to take some videos of this and splice it in for this part of the discussion.
It's crazy because I literally just got to the point where I can start leveling up, and I told you I'm like 9 hours in. The problem I've been having is that when you die and the game resets you back to your checkpoint, certain things still are true and certain things are not true. Any doors you've opened, which create shortcuts around the environment, those are all open. Any items you've used have been used. Any enemies you've killed are fucking not dead anymore. Yeah. They're all still alive and reset back to their original position. And of course, just like in Dark Souls, and maybe this is all like Dark Souls.
Oh yeah.
You have to go find the person who killed you, kill that person to get your XP back.
Usually you don't. Well, you don't have to kill them. You find it near where you died. So
for this one, it's very much like a vengeance thing.
Okay.
You kill that person, the big thing pops up, and you get your XP back, whatever they call them, whatever. So I'm very early on, and I can honestly say I've never played a game like this where I die over and over and over and over again, and until they patch it, there's a 45-second load screen.
Ooh.
That brings you back to your starting location.
That's rough.
It is rough, but I'll tell you, it's actually never bothered me, and I don't know why, and I think maybe I do know why. When I first die, I'm screaming obscenities at the TV, and I'm like, "Fuck you! Get the fuck away! Fucking not again!" And then I'm like ready to rage quit. But I'm like, well, I'm not going to quit the game while it's loading. Who knows what it's doing?
Yeah.
So it gives me 45 seconds to cool
calm
down, recollect.
That's great.
And start over.
Yeah.
I'm like, and it literally, as soon as my guy pops up, I'm like, I got this. I got it this time. I've never played a game where I've played for 9 hours, haven't progressed at all, and been like, I can't wait to play more of this game. And I feel like as soon as I'm able to start leveling up, because one of the things that kills me is, maybe the doors are still open and all the items are used, but the durability of your weapon goes down even through all the continues. And so oftentimes I'll be reset back to the beginning of the game, and it'll be like, oh, warning, your weapon's about to crumble or something. And I'm like, but I barely used it. I haven't killed anybody. I'm at the very first checkpoint.
Yeah.
And so then at that point you go, well, let me just fucking restart the game because it's pointless for me to continue.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a chance to really like even level up or give my character a shot at surviving. And I think as soon as that starts happening, I'm going to have a little bit more of a chance. I'm still learning how the game works, and there's a lot more to learn. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. That said, fucking love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's reviewing very well. It seems like people
really
like
well.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised too, I gotta say, because no, I'm not surprised. I take it back. From Software's great. They've been great for a while.
Their occasional missteps, I feel like, are more ambitious failures than failures of ambition. The games where they do it wrong, it's usually because they didn't quite, the ideas that they had didn't quite coalesce. It's never been because they just phoned it in, they just made shit.
Right. I mean, and there haven't been like a lot of missteps, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either.
No. King's Field was amazing. All 4 of them.
I never really played. I've
kidding.
watched.
Those are the slowest fucking moving first-person RPGs in the world. Yeah.
Well,
and I'm totally sure that people who love those games totally love Dark Souls.
Yeah,
because they are they're brutal. Like, they
Yeah.
take some patience.
Yeah, well, they were laying the groundwork for the Souls games.
That's what they've been doing all this time.
Yeah.
That they were laying the groundwork for 3D Dot Game Heroes.
Yeah. Yeah, when's the sequel for that? When's 4D Dot Game Heroes? Travel through time.
Maybe you have to travel through time to get it and
Maybe.
bring it back for us.
Yeah, I can time travel, but I can only go forward.
Peace. See you later. Okay, I don't know what Gut Glob is. Oh, so I got
moving on.
I got in, yeah. Let me think. I know I played something else this week that I was really into, but I'll figure it out eventually.
We'll get it in post.
Well, it'll just be me sitting in front of the camera. Oh, Mike, I was also playing.
Yeah, you just get that picture of me you used that one time.
You with a hot dog.
Yeah,
in
with
hand?
the hot dog. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got this. Nintendo does a lot of things. Sometimes they do them well, and sometimes they don't. So I get a text message this week, and if you're watching, hello, from someone who plays a lot of Nintendo games and has most of their life, not many
Most
lives,
of their lives.
right?
The grand Buddhist tradition of reincarnation.
Right. Every time he comes back,
Yeah.
He started with some Nintendo card
Yeah.
games and toys, and
Just it pops out. It's like,
Game & Watch.
Where's the NES?
right. So he has a Wii U. It's primary game system.
Okay.
Okay, which you don't hear very often.
No, I certainly use mine regularly, but not as the only thing.
I don't even use mine regularly, although I use it way more than my Xbox.
Oh well.
Anyway, so he sends me a photograph, and it's of an amiibo display at a store, and he says, "What are these, and why do I need them?" I was like, "You have a Wii U.
Yeah, that's
Like, this should be something you're very familiar with at this point, like
Yeah.
intimately familiar with. Like, if you play one game a year and you have a Wii U, you should know what these are."
Yeah, I would assume that most people that are, substantive Nintendo gamers would have heard of amiibos. Nintendo hasn't been quiet about them, so
Substantive.
you're getting it now. That was the first try.
Yeah, but you actually used it in the proper context.
Oh,
I don't
that's
enjoy
that's
that
the
at all.
next that's the next step. That's classic grade school vocabulary building. First it's spelling, then it's context and definition.
I missed that. I was sick I had the chicken pox.
For like 3.5 years.
Yeah.
It was really bad. It was in all the papers.
Yep. So I had to explain to somebody via text message what amiibos are.
Was his response? That sounds like bullshit.
No, he said, so they're not necessary. And I said, no, they're not. Unless you're me. Or
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I was in Best Buy. Again, we talked about Best Buy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why I was there. I was buying shoes next door.
You were buying shoes at Best Buy. They're like, we don't even sell these. Where did you,
Right.
where did you find them?
It's been a while since I've been to
You
Best
just
Buy.
took them off a staff member.
Right.
How much are these?
So I walked in. I was like, well, I'm here. I might as well see what they have. And they had almost the whole line of the new amiibos.
Yeah.
They didn't have Toad, which was the one I would want because he's the one that's not in the
Yeah.
old collection.
Yeah.
But
He's the one that works with Captain Toad's treasure tracker, too.
oh well, if I get around to buying that, then that would be perfect. I do want to play that. I know.
It reviewed well.
That's all you're gonna
It's
say.
kind of a puzzle platformer, so
It
that
is.
seems like your thing.
I don't mind puzzle platformers. I know you kind of dislike them.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sick of them.
I'd rather it just be a straightforward platformer.
Yeah, as would I.
And I don't want any of my puzzle platformers to involve time ever again. No more time elements. After playing Braid, yeah, that was the worst. Like, I mean, it was interesting and it was different, but by the end of the game, I never wanted to play it again.
Yeah, I didn't really have very much fun playing Braid.
There were a few times I got horrifically stuck, and I had to look up on YouTube how to beat a level, and that's not fun for me. Yeah, and I didn't buy a single amiibo when I saw the full display. I was like, well, I guess I'm done with this. I mean, unless they come out with a new line with different characters, and no, not even. I'm like, I think I'm just done.
Yeah, they're doing more Smash Brothers ones next.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting for Game & Watch. That's the one that and NES. I really want to get those too.
those would be cool to have. But I mean, just when they first announced this line of Mario Party characters, I was like, but Oh,
Yeah,
they're all
all the Marios are already partying in the other lines.
right. We don't need another line of this. Like I think the packaging looks nice and stuff,
Yeah.
but it's unnecessary. So I think my brain finally clicked and said, you don't need to spend any more money on this for now. So the other text I got from this mysterious person was, and the only reason I bring it up is because it's yet another, like, being not you or I who's, entrenched in the gaming warfare. It's interesting to hear people's thoughts.
Yeah.
And his text was, do I need a 3D TV to play Super Mario 3D World?
Yeah, I hope you said yes.
Well, but so do you think that's a common question?
Every time I would go to say the name of that game, I would kind of stumble over it because I'm like, well, wait, 3D Land, that makes sense because it's on the 3DS.
Right.
This is not a 3D game, really.
Mario's been 3D ever since N64.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even called 3D.
Yeah.
That was called 64.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think that was a marketing misstep? Do you think other people are out there being like, oh, I don't have a 3D TV, I'm skipping this one?
No, because I don't even think most people understand the concept of a 3D TV.
Okay.
But I know why they called it that because they were trying to tie. This is kind of the sequel to 3D Land.
Oh, it absolutely is, and they're trying to kind of like have different series,
Yeah.
new Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Land, World 3D, whatever.
Yeah.
I understand that, but we understand that because we know every single Nintendo title that comes out.
Oh man, yeah. I sometimes think about all the knowledge that I have of this stuff, and I'm just like, God, what my brain could be doing with that space if it was otherwise occupied, and that's really the biggest killer for me with playing video games sometimes is I think to myself, like, I'm going to spend so much time developing this skill set, which I'm going to use precisely once and then never again.
Yep.
Well, that's the end of the podcast. I'm going to go hang myself.
See you later.
You should put in the music now and then just like cut it out.
All right. So shit happened this week.
Yeah.
Some shit we care about, some shit we don't. I'm going to tell
probably mostly the second category.
Yep. And despite that, I'm going to tell you about it anyway.
Okay.
All right. So Radio Shack that we reported a couple weeks back or maybe a couple months ago. Who keeps track?
Yeah.
Filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
But just to liquidate their assets, they're selling all their customer data.
Oh, really?
Yes. Which
wow, that's super shitty.
They used to advertise, "Don't worry, we don't share our customer information with anybody."
Them.
They used to advertise it.
Yeah.
They said, "We'll never sell it to another company." And now that they're going bankrupt, they're like, "Fuck you guys." Yep.
Nice. That's really good. That's a way to go out with class. Is just royally screw over your customer base in the last just to leave everyone with bitter, frustrated memories about how shitty a company you are and how much you deserve to go out of business.
My first thought was, well, I don't fucking shop at Radio Shack, so
Yeah.
I don't care. But then I was like, oh wait, there was that one time I went to get a battery.
Exactly.
And they probably needed my phone number or something.
Exactly. And that's what everybody did. Everybody went into a Radio Shack one time because they're like, shit, I need a watch battery and I'm in the mall and there's no place else. So, yeah.
Fuck you, Radio Shack.
Yes.
I really don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I feel, as with any mass closing, I feel bad for their employees, but what a shitty business.
Yep, absolutely. I'm kind of confused how they stayed open for so long.
I know.
What were they selling that no one else was?
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much saw, they predated, the Best Buy, the GameStop, the fucking Circuit City, all of these modern electronic stores.
Yep.
They saw those companies open and become huge, and they're like, nah, we're going to keep with our vague, shitty business plan of selling things people never need for like twice as much.
Yeah. Yeah, anytime like Black Friday flyers came out, Radio Shack would always have theirs, and I'd be like, nope.
Yeah, who buys that stuff?
And they were always the
Model
worst.
plane enthusiasts.
It was like they were selling TVs for a while, and they were always like the worst off-brand TVs of like really small sizes and overly expensive. It's like, you guys don't get it.
No.
Like, anyone buying there is just, I'm not sure what they were thinking. Let's see. So GameStop reported.
Speaking of shitty companies that fuck over their customers.
Yeah. Oh God! Before I even read this story, somebody posted on a Facebook group that I'm part of. They were like, "Well, I wasn't expecting on buying a PlayStation 4 today, but who can argue with a $170 PlayStation 4?" And I was like, "Yeah, who can argue with that? Where did you buy it?" And he posted a picture that I didn't even know what it was until I zoomed in real close, and it was this big, long, white thing. I was like, "What is that?" So I zoom into the top, and there's a GameStop logo on the top. It was a trade-in receipt. He traded in fucking his entire PlayStation 3 collection and his system, and I couldn't. It was
and a pint of blood.
It was too small to read the individual titles. I wish I could have fucking read every single title he traded in, but the receipt was this long. So he traded in literally his whole collection and his system, and still the PlayStation 4
almost $200.
So he only saved $200 and gave away his entire 7-year collection. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And he was so happy about it. That was the worst part. It's like, dude, do you see what just happened? Like, I don't know how long it takes somebody to make $200.
It's just making me think of like walking down the street and the guy comes out with a gun and you get mugged and your response is like, "Man, am I glad I don't have to carry around that heavy wallet and cell phone anymore."
It's my lucky day.
I know.
Goes home and tells everybody, what a great day I had.
I feel so light now.
Like, people are dumb, man. People are dumb. But I mean, again, not everyone has the collector mentality. If you're done with a game, some people are just done with a game.
I mean, I guess I find it hard to believe, but I'm sure there are a couple of people that have watched this podcast that have just thought, like, what are these chuckle fucks doing? They're spending all of their time and money talking about video games. Yeah. They should be out having lives and families and things.
Sounds awful. Yeah. I mean, although I often, while you reflect,
quietly stare off into space.
While you reflect, I've often considered, like would I get enough enjoyment from video games if I was to sell off everything but the most current system? In this case, I would sell the Xbox One, the Wii U, because all I'm really playing 99% of the time is my PS4.
Yeah.
And just selling every game except for the one that I'm currently playing. Would I get more enjoyment or less enjoyment out of this hobby? And I think the answer is way more. Way more, man. I think like half of my income goes to like my freaking hobby. When really it requires all of about $60 every 3 months.
Yep.
Which is pretty close to half my income these days.
Oh no. Yeah. Now like week after week, people are gonna see like your apartment slowly get emptier in the background. Like things start to get like slowly more run down. You start to look increasingly haggard in the videos.
Yep. There'll be like some guy just hanging out in a bathroom.
Yeah.
He'll be like, can I sneak past the video?
Yeah. Yes.
I just need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
You get like a shitty roommate that we're just trying to pretend doesn't exist the whole time.
Yeah. I told you on all fours.
Yeah.
Now bark. I mean, beg. I don't know. That's what roommates do, right?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I haven't had a roommate for a long time, and I don't ever want one again.
Me neither.
They're the pits. Other people
I don't even want
pits.
a significant other. They seem
you're like. In fact, Mike, can you go? Like
they seem like roommates that you have to give attention to.
Yeah, I guess I've heard that there are other benefits. No.
No, not that you can't find elsewhere.
Mm.
Oh, Mike, we have so much to talk about in so little time. That said, let's talk about something pointless.
Let's keep
so
going.
GameStop.
Yeah, GameStop.
Back on
those
top.
guys.
Yeah. So they reported that, I'm just going to read it, reported that current console sales far exceeded expectations by nearly $700 million this year. It's crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
For the year, so it's not this year. That would be crazy. But so basically, PS4 and Xbox One wicked outsold anybody's projections, which is awesome. It proves that the home console market's not dead, which there was a moment we were all nervous about.
Yeah, I'm still kind of confused because everything's still going, like every game is still being made like backwards compatible.
So you said that last week, I think, and we're seeing it less and less.
It is less, but I mean, it's been over a year now that these.
Yeah, but I mean, Far Cry 4, like, I mean, because this is Ubisoft, right? Ubisoft puts everything on everything. Their Assassin's Creed games are console specific, so they're actually trying to double down, like get money from both sides. And also, Far Cry 4, 3 was on the old systems, 4 is on the new systems. Bloodborne.
Yeah, Bloodborne.
Yeah.
No, it's
Order,
increasing, but it's still. I mean, I for work I ordered the new Resident Evil Revelations game. That was all for consoles.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What else has come out recently? Yeah, the Dragon Ball, that big Dragon Ball game. Xenoverse, that was all.
There's also, the things that I find even more intriguing are the games that, and these are the games that I love, the games that, made by like Axis or NIS, the games that are still only coming out on last gen consoles.
Yeah.
You know, we talked a little bit last week, or actually after the podcast, we talked about Tokyo Twilight Ghost Hunters, which I'm actually enjoying. Only Vita and PS3.
Yeah.
Really strange.
Yeah, well, the PS3 definitely seems to be the one that has the long tail lifespan this time.
I don't think Microsoft has any interest in supporting their consoles once the new one's out.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with the original Xbox.
I do remember that. Yeah,
that was like there was like a day where they just put their foot down and said no more original Xbox games can come out anymore.
The whole division that had been working on the old Xbox stuff, they just like locked the door and everyone's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And just gas starts coming out of the ceiling. Ah!
Yeah. And also in this,
all the lights go out.
The same news story actually reports that as great as the new consoles are doing, this is in direct polar opposites to what you're saying. The old consoles are not selling nearly as well as they anticipated. 360 or PS3 sales are really far down compared to what the projected sales are. So with that kind of news, you wonder, like, if people who still have PS3 or 360 games in development, if they're going to say, we better move this project to the next generation. Yeah. There's the word.
It's just like Star Trek.
I'll keep that in mind. So now the Apple Watch has been out for a while.
Yes.
Like
the smartwatch.
Like since last year, right around this time.
Has it? I mean, I don't really follow those kind of gadgets. So it's been a little while. Though,
the news story is less important, I think, than my conversation that I want to have about it. The news story is that the first Apple Watch game has been revealed.
Okay.
And it's something stupid. It's called Rules. It's a puzzle game.
Wow, sounds fun.
Right,
Rules.
Right, with exclamation point.
Yeah.
So I guess it was already an iOS game, and now they're just making it compatible with the watch. Do people want to play games on a watch?
I used to have one of those watches with the LCD
calculator
game. No, it had an LCD game on it. Ooh. And I was like, ooh, and it was terrible.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these are better, but again, do you want to play a game on your watch? Because first of all, you're down to one hand.
Yeah.
So it's already not fun to play. And the screen is ridiculously small.
How do you jerk off while you're playing?
Right, the screen would be moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't think about that.
They don't. And also, who buys an Apple Watch? Do you wear a regular watch?
I do, actually. I do. I'm one of the few people that I know that wears a watch still.
And people still wear watches, strangely.
Well, because it's much easier to sneak a quick, like, when you're at a meeting than it is to, like, pull your fucking phone out of your pocket and stare at it.
But it's so common now that everyone has their phone out all the time. Like, I work at a restaurant. If it's 4 people out having dinner,
they text you their order. Nobody speaks to you.
There are 4 phones out on the table.
Wow.
I was like, this is
shitty,
ridiculous. So everyone knows what time it is all the time, like to the second.
I bet they don't, though. I bet people just kind of space out on that.
Probably. Well, I'm the kind of person that, like, I'll pull my phone out to check the time, and I'll look at it, and I'll put the phone away and go, wait, what time is it? Oops. I I guess I forgot to actually check.
Yeah.
Yep. I was looking at my Limbo Beck's wallpaper. So, yeah, I don't know who wants these
buys
things.
an Apple Watch.
Right.
People with a desperate need for validation via their possessions.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay. I don't want to take it that far. I just can't imagine spending more than like $20 on a watch because I don't want a watch to begin with. I think they're more like fashion accessories than anything, and I think they look kind of dumb. I'm not all watches. The Apple Watches.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mike, do you play Mortal Kombat?
I haven't in a really long time.
Okay. So you have no interest in Mortal Kombat X or 10 or whatever it's called.
Not really. I mean, I still know all the characters because they came out at a very formative time in my life. But yeah, it's never really been my cup of tea.
Yeah. I definitely played the first couple, and and every so often I dive back in to check out the newest one because there was one for the PSP that came out, Deception, I think.
Oh yeah,
and that was early on when there were very few games for the PSP worth playing. So, but it's been a while. I can't say I've played one. That's not true. I played the most recent one for the Vita. I don't know what that was called. Maybe that was Deception. I don't know. And it was pretty good.
It made a real impression on you.
Well, there was a story mode, and it was actually halfway decent, and the graphics were good. It was really responsive, but
that's good.
It's still Mortal Kombat, and it's becoming more of like a legitimate fighting game. Yeah, it used to be kind of a joke, to Street Fighter fans.
Yeah, it used to be like, so you want to see, blood and weird shit,
people's spines getting ripped out of their body. Yeah, but now it's becoming more respected. And I think even more so now that NetherRealm is about to release the newest one. Now, the news story that happened this week, and there's so much news. A lot of people must be interested in Mortal Kombat because every single day there are news stories about new characters being revealed, and here's something special, and blah blah blah. And the one that I noticed recently is that there's an easy fatality option coming to Mortal Kombat, and this I think is geared solely towards people who have no interest in Mortal Kombat but want to see all the fatalities.
Which is everybody. I mean,
I don't think so. I think a lot of people want to play this game for real purposes.
That's interesting. I mean, it is, despite the fact that most of the games have not been very good, it is a brand that still has some degree of clout to it. It's still like a bankable brand.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to see the fatalities.
Exactly. It's like, well, I mean, everybody talks about that that I'm sure they're saying that they want to play it for the fighting engine or to see the blah blah blah. But it's like everybody. Oh, I only read Playboy for the articles.
Yeah,
we know why you read Playboy.
You're not reading.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, the X-Files is coming back.
I did hear that. That's pretty wild, but only for like a mini series, right?
Like a 6-episode season.
Yeah.
Which that's fine.
Is it going to be Mulder and Scully again, or new people?
6 episodes with David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson coming back as the FBI agents Fox Mulder and Dana Scully. I got to tell you, I love the X-Files.
Yeah, I think you're not alone. I was never a big fan, but it was always a show that I appreciated the concept of it.
I remember being maybe I would literally have to look up the year that it came out during, but I'm pretty sure I was like somewhere between 10 and 12 years old. I was having a sleepover with my best friend at his house, and we basically had to. I remember like asking his parents, being like, "Can we use the TV in the living room because there's a new show coming on?" And it's going to be the very first episode, and it's called The X-Files, and we really want to watch it. And we'd actually walk down in preparation to watch the show, walk down to the candy store in the center of town, and get this big bag of candy, and what do 10-year-olds do? That's what they do.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they did when we were 10. Now they're like out having sex and doing drugs.
Yeah.
Which I got to say, would have
down
been
to the candy store, went into the back room, bought some crystal meth, got high, and
gave head to the store owner for meth.
Yeah.
I mean, 10-year-olds don't have money. No.
Got high and killed some homeless people.
Yeah. We're missing out, man.
Yeah,
we really missed out on our...
Born in the wrong era.
Right? Our childhood could have been so much more
I know.
interesting.
We were playing, like, DuckTales, man.
Dun, 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 dun. Anyway. So, yeah, and I remember literally sitting there and just eating a bag of candy, like, sitting on the floor and being, like, kind of scared out of my mind because anything at 10 was scary. And I was literally hooked from day one, and this is just going to say a lot about me, I think, but I remember being even in junior high, so a few years later, when everyone else was like partying on the weekends and stuff, Friday night when X-Files was on, I was home. Everyone in my family knew that the TV was mine for that hour, and I would prepare. Like, I mean, I would just like being 10 years old. I would, if I could, I'd have a big bag of Smart Food popcorn. And what was my favorite soda? It was root beer. I had like a 2-liter bottle of root beer. I mean, I was
just living the dream.
It was my favorite hour of the week.
The coolest 12-year-old on the block.
And I mean, I was 14, 15, 16 at this point. Like, I was not going out and partying with my friends. I wasn't playing with my band. I was by myself. Wow. It went back a long way.
Yeah.
But again, it was my favorite part of the week. I didn't have to deal with other people, and I was watching what I loved, and this was before you could watch what you loved 24/7. And now, so recently, I actually went back, and I'm going through every single episode on Netflix. And I got to say, there's some stinkers.
Oh yeah, any long-running show, especially sci-fi shows, I feel like they need to, every once in a while, they just, their reach, or their reach exceeds their grasp.
Yeah. Overall, though, I mean, it's like, I think it's 9 seasons, and it's just
wow.
It's pretty phenomenal for the most part.
If David Duchovny's coming back, does that mean that the new X-Files is going to have substantially more graphic sex scenes in it?
I hope so. I hope so. They got to update it for the new audience.
Oh no, the alien's invading. We gotta fuck them.
They've got to update it for today's 10-year-olds.
Yeah, today's 10-year-olds.
They're like doing market research. They're like, what do today's 10-year-olds like to do? And they watch our podcast. Yeah. And they're like, okay, so crystal meth, sex, and killing homeless people. Got it. Yeah. Got it. We got the new X-Files.
Oh man, I would watch that show.
I would. I'll watch it no matter what's on. This is good. The X-Files creator Chris Carter said in the press release, he said, I think of it more as a 13-year-old commercial break, or 13-year commercial break.
Wow, I hope they got some good money for those. Those are some long fucking commercials.
Seriously. So, I mean, maybe that's what he's saying as far as the series goes, just going to pick up where it left off. Which...
Why did they look so old between those? David Duchovny, I mean, Mulder isn't getting much sleep. He looks like shit.
David Duchovny actually looks pretty good still.
Yeah, he does, actually.
Yeah,
he does.
I don't think I've seen Gillian Anderson anything.
I think she went back to a lot of like theater stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's her background, is more like stage stuff.
They're both really talented, and that was one of those rare...
She wrote a book recently. That's where I saw her last. She wrote some kind of sci-fi novel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. They had good chemistry. They were...
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I don't think I thought that from the beginning. I think it took me at least a couple seasons to warm up to what they had going. But of course I was 10 years old. I didn't understand the complexities of adults, as I still don't.
I still don't understand.
My God, Toe Jam and Earl has reached its Kickstarter goal of... I don't know, $400,000, something like that. So
the spokesperson for the group said, "Don't you people have families? What are you doing with your money?"
Yep. Developer Human Nature Studios. That name sounds familiar.
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Human was the company that used to do all those like
Clock Tower.
Yeah.
But Human Nature. So they're making the game for Linux, Windows PC, and Mac, but if they hit their $600,000 stretch goal, it will be on the PlayStation 4. I can't say I give a fuck.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. It's an idea that's time has passed.
Yeah. The Final Fantasy 15 director is quoted as saying the all-male cast of Final Fantasy 15 makes the game more approachable.
Wow.
How much more Japanese can you get than that statement?
Yeah, there's a lot of yikes. I kind of feel like you just are like you're handing me a grenade with the pin pulled, and you're like make sure you keep the handle. I don't know.
He said this is an interview with GameSpot. So what's up, GameSpot? So he said even the presence of one female in the group will change their behavior so that they'll act differently. So to give it the most natural feeling, to make them all feel sincere and honest, having them all the same gender made sense in that way. And
wow.
as I said very honestly and openly last episode, they're all gay.
Which would be fine. Like, man, yeah, make that fucking game.
Yeah.
Make a gay Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, I'll play that.
I think you've been playing that for the better part of a decade now. All that's missing,
according to my middle school bully.
All that's missing is the actual gay sex.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, it's so gay.
Yeah, I don't even know where to go with this stuff.
Worse yet is that I was hoping that Type 0, the demo came with, would be awesome, and I am like,
it's not.
I'm sure it's great, but man, is it overly complicated from the get-go. Yeah. Like, I don't want to learn the system.
Yeah, here we go with the complicated systems.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm at a loss as to where to go, as to what to say about that. There's so much to unpack there. I mean, there's the inherent sexism of men are not authentic when they're around. Like women, well.
So
before we get into this conversation, I just want to make it clear there are some areas that Bryan and I differ on our.
Mike's going to go on a tirade while I get more coffee.
There's some areas that Bryan and I differ rather dramatically in our perceptions. Do you seriously want me to keep fucking talking while you? This is going to be the best part of the podcast. Okay, fine. We'll go into one of Mike's classic rants. So, apart from just the inherent sexism of saying that men are not authentic when they're around women, or I mean, you could even take that as like women fuck up every group of men that they're in. I mean, I feel like whichever way you take it, that statement is insulting to both genders. But
not insulted even slightly. I think you just nailed it. I think.
Oh boy,
it might be sexist, but it's accurate.
Oh god. But there's also just the like. I mean,
they're video game characters. They could make them sincere and open and honest around women.
What does that say about your writers? If like you're basically saying we can't write genuine characters when they have to interact with somebody of a different gender.
What I like most about the quote is that he's addressing something that no one asked him to address. Okay? It's like, dude, it just happens to be the first Final Fantasy game in a while without any women. There's been a lot of women in a lot of Final Fantasy games. And in fact, 13
that was headlined by a female character.
Yeah, and even 10 too. So I mean, no one's saying what the fuck is up with Final Fantasy. Where are all the female characters? They could have just left this one alone and said, no, we just took a different route. We wanted to see what like a all male bonding thing could be like.
Yeah.
And instead,
out of curiosity, how many playable characters are there?
I don't know. So I only played the demo.
Yeah.
And I was only playing as one person through the demo. And there are 4, I believe, guys in the party. What's really strange about this game? It's like you're in the middle of like the woods and you're fighting all sorts of crazy monsters, and then feet away there'll be a road with a gas station, and you walk into the gas station and there are people, like just human beings, looking at magazines and like buying coffee, and you're like, guys, do you know what's right outside?
Yeah,
it just like feet away. It's crazy dangerous. There's this really.
I just cut Bigfoot in half out there.
Like I've had acid trips that make more sense than this.
Yeah, once you start to make some of the abstractions, like that kind of shit was okay back in the 8-bit and the 16-bit days when the limits of technology required that you use certain abstractions.
Yeah.
Like that made sense. But when you're totally right, when you actually think about, like in Final Fantasy VII, one of the optional bosses is this giant robot that will just totally kill the shit out of you if you get close to him.
Yeah.
And he's in the sand right outside the game's version of Las Vegas. And you go in there, and it's the same thing. Like, everyone's like, woo, Vegas, yeah! You know, they're just gambling. You know, they're having a good time. There's, like, bunny girls. And it's like... and especially when you know what this thing is, that he's basically, like, this creature designed to usher in the apocalypse. And you're like... The fucking one of the 4 horsemen is right there. You can see him from the windows in the restaurant, and everyone's like, "Hey, whatever, it's Vegas." I mean, I guess Vegas is the one place that you could probably accept something like that. But it's the same thing in any video game town. Like, you're fighting dragons, and you walk down the street, and there's your next town, and there's no walls. There's not even a fence, but the dragons haven't gotten in there.
But at least in a lot of video games, the people in those towns are scared of, you know, they're like, can you go to this next town and do this for me because I'm scared of the monsters?
Yeah. That
kind of thing. Like, there's an awareness of what's going on in their surroundings. Or they're like, can you go kill this boss in the cave, in the mine? You know, like, he's killed so many of our villagers. That's happened in, like, 17 different JRPGs. In Final Fantasy 15, there seems to be no correlation. Like, no, you walk to the gas station and people are just like pumping gas.
Yeah.
And you're not looking around. They're not like, can this pump go any faster? Nothing like
all
that.
All nervous, like, oh shit.
They're like texting.
Yeah. That's the real danger, texting at the pump. That's how you cause an explosion.
That's totally bullshit. I watched the Mythbusters episode about that. But it is actually a myth that was so popular that they started putting it on gas station signs saying, do not text, do not use your cell phone at the pump, without any kind of scientific background.
Nice job, humanity.
Right. So I just like to text to scare people now. Like pumping, I'm like spraying gas on my phone.
Yeah, you're making eye contact with the kid, like, in the car. You're like pointing to the sign. You're like, just freaking out. Yeah, and then you just explode.
It'd be awesome.
And you're at the pearly gates, and St. Peter's like, come on, man. What did you think was going to happen? But I want to go back to the gender thing for a second.
Oh, sure.
That's so fucked up. And you're right. That is such a Japanese corporate thing to say. Whoa, somebody's popular.
No, that's eBay.
Oh.
eBay's the only one that texts me.
eBay's the only one that loves me.
The best part is they're texting me to tell me that a game that I bought shipped. What day is today, Mike?
Today is Sunday.
Yeah, it didn't fucking ship today.
Sometimes there is delivery on Sundays now. With
package delivery, but pickup? Is there a post office that's open to drop a package off at?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think... but so a lot of places like will print the shipping label on Sunday and then mail it out Monday.
Oh, so it's probably an automated thing when the label prints, the labeler sends it to you.
Right. But still, I'm like, it didn't fucking ship. Don't fucking lie to me.
Yep. It is like a relationship. Don't lie about my games. You know, it's funny that you brought that up about, like, you know, it's like 6 or 7 dudes like hanging out in the woods, like, that's gay. Man,
it's not gay until you play it. And you're like, oh my god, just make out.
And why don't they just do that then? Like, what is with...
because then
it would alienate people. Absolutely.
Would.
But it's
and Square's not in a position where they can take those kind of risks, especially with such a big title right now. They can't do that. It would get a ton of marketing, like it would get a ton of exposure from the media, but then no one would buy it except for like 10% of the population or 10% of gamers. So cut that population in half.
Yeah, I feel like we're opening up a kind of psychological can of worms because the whole, like, oh, it's bros only thing, it just always seems kind of gay. So, like, and that's fine. Then just do that.
Right.
Then, like, just embrace it. And, like, man, that would be a fucking revelation. I mean, it's not like haven't ever been gay relationships in video games before.
Yeah.
Like, this would be such a great, way of opening that up and making it more so. But instead, it's just this weird, like, we don't want to have women because women make our, like, creepy ass otaku customers uncomfortable. So, like, unless they're like super moai, like 10-year-olds. So we have to just have all these, like, big tough dudes that are always, like, touching each other and getting real close and
wearing leather.
Yeah, it's like just be gay. Like, it's okay. It's fine. Like, you're insulting everyone the way that you're doing things now.
Yeah. Can't be women, but they can't be gay. Okay.
Sounds shitty.
Yeah. Should make Kingdom Hearts 3 interesting. because I think Kingdom Hearts appeals to gay gamers more than any other game on the face of the planet. And that's not trying to be stereotypical. I'm not trying to make generalizations, but based on my experience, my group of friends, and my Facebook friends especially, because I don't have real friends. Like, Kingdom Hearts is like what
Gaybot 2000 loves Kingdom Hearts. He thinks you should buy it. Here's a link.
Right. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts is a series that generally I think gets that works the most for gay gamers. Like, and obviously, gay gamers are a very diverse group of people, and they like everything from Call of Duty all the way down to Final Fantasy,
all the way down to Kingdom Hearts.
Right. So, but that game seems
That's
to have some unique universal appeal across the board. When
why do you think that is? Is it just because you've never like had a real thing for Kingdom Hearts or not any more so than, or do you?
I have a huge crush on Roxas.
Really?
I do.
Okay. Well, then I guess that answers all my questions.
Yeah.
So.
Like
there you go.
Yeah, no, it's I think what it is that I think gay gamers are more they're at least the ones I know love cosplaying, and there's no one better to cosplay as than a Kingdom Hearts character.
They're all pretty boys,
right? I want to go to Anime Boston just to bring one home.
Yeah. You're like hitting on him in front of his mom, like, hey, why don't you ditch the old lady and come with me?
See, you're laughing.
I know, because I'm laughing because you'd fucking do that.
I'd wait till she went to the bathroom.
Yeah. I need an adult.
Mike, it's I can't read half of what I wrote.
Wow.
What's refugees? Oh, refrigerator.
Refugees.
Okay. Mike, I have one more news story before we...
Because we really want to get into some hilarious stuff. Let's talk about refugees.
Zelda for the Wii U has been delayed.
I didn't even realize... Well, when was it supposed to come out?
This year.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think it's terribly surprising that it's not going to come out this year. Obviously, it's going to be one of the biggest games ever made for the Wii U.
And you know what's going to be the best part of it? No shitty motion-controlled sword fighting.
Yeah.
That's going to be great.
I mean, excluding the CDI games, are you of the opinion that Skyward Sword was one of the worst Zelda games ever made?
Yeah, I didn't like it. And it really... Well, it came down to a few things. The sword combat was really bad. I just never clicked for me. It always felt just like clumsy flailing, and it felt like they had to dumb down the combat a lot to accommodate the fact that you're like,
right,
just swinging around like an idiot. And man, and I played that game. I used to. My old girlfriend, and she was about as like open and accommodating to all of my goofy pursuits as you can possibly be, because she had some pretty nerdy hobbies too. But like and she would never have said anything, but I just felt like such a dumbass when I'm like sitting there in my chair, like a recliner, like you know,
it's a tough one.
And it also just felt really. The world just felt really undeveloped too. It just there wasn't anywhere to go other than like the places that you had to go.
Right. I didn't play it. I may never play it, honestly.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Well, the reason for the delay is that the development team has discovered new possibilities
Okay.
Not sure what that means. I don't think anyone's sure what that means. They also said that they will not be showing off.
They tried drugs for the first time.
Right. They will not be showing off this Zelda at E3 this year.
Did Nintendo stop going to E3?
Yeah. No, they stopped having press. They stopped having their own press conference.
Okay, but they still had a presence. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay.
So they showed us like almost nothing, and now they're showing. Now they're going to kind of like even pull back even further and show us even less for like at least the next
year. They're going to pull the memories out of our brains
right.
from what we've seen.
So
get over here.
I mean, it basically has to be the best Zelda game ever made, because the Wii U is in a scary place right now.
Yeah.
You know, when right around the time it was do or die for them, they were like, hey, by the way, we're working on our next system. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Not a good sign. And the worst thing that they could possibly do right now is to bring this over to the NX instead of releasing it for the Wii U. You have to show your fans, your loyal fans who have bought the system, that you're not going to abandon them.
I don't think they will. Nintendo has almost without fail done right by their customers.
I agree.
For the occasional like irritating thing that they've done, they for the most part have been a pretty consumer friendly company. And you even think about, you know, they ported over Twilight Princess to the Wii and made that a Wii launch title, but they still came out with the GameCube version, and by all accounts, it was the better version.
Yeah. Their part of their statement was that reaching a 2015 release goal was not their priority anymore. Which was it Miyamoto who said?
Delays or temporary
bad games forever.
Yeah.
So, I like that.
I would think so too.
People complain about delays all the time.
Yeah, because they're like fucking 15, and
right. if the delay is going to make a game a great game, then that's awesome, because you're going to spend the same $60 on that game.
Exactly.
Whether it comes out this year or next year, and if it comes out next year, it's going to be a better $60 spent.
Yeah, and unless you're going to like die soon, or you're joining the Peace Corps or something, like, there's probably not a huge hurry for, like, it's probably not that important if a game gets pushed back a couple of months.
Yeah.
And if you are doing either of those two things, you probably have other things to worry about than a video game.
Maybe. All right. So, Mike, you had an interesting topic idea for this week.
Yeah.
Now, we are running a little low on time.
Okay. We could do this as a two-parter. We could start talking about it now and finish it up next week.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah, no, we'll give it a shot. We'll see how far we go.
Yeah, because the more I thought about it, the more kind of vague it became, which I think is good. I kind of wanted to just talk about nostalgia and how it applies to video games. I think the way that I pitched it to you was the idea of, you know, games that we came to late, and, you know, can you really appreciate a lot of these older games removed from the period of time that they were released, or, you know, is so much of each video game tied up with like when it came out. Right. But I just kind of like the idea of nostalgia and how games age, you know?
I agree with you. And as I was thinking about this topic, I was thinking about all the games I kind of came to later.
Yeah.
The original Xbox, I didn't own any Xbox games until about 2 years ago. And then now I own all of them.
Literally.
No, most of the good ones, most of the exclusives. And it's so much fun to go back to an old system, especially a system that you didn't even have, you know, like that you're not sure what it's capable of.
Yeah.
But to as a PlayStation 2 guy, I loved plugging in that Xbox for the first time and being like, holy crap, this is what I was missing out on. When you can put it into historical perspective and say, all of these games look so much better than the PS2 games I was playing. But there's more to it than that. There's so much hype in advertising, in previews and reviews and articles leading up to and following a game's release. And when you can kind of remove yourself from that
Yeah.
completely and just appreciate a game for what it is and not for what it isn't, you can kind of go back to all of these games with a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
And that's what I got to do with the original Xbox. So when I played games like Fable 1, that at the time, there were a lot of complaints.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't live up to this, and Peter Molyneux said this, and
Yeah.
it didn't, fucking fanboy bullshit, right? Grabbed by the Ghoulies, which was Rare's.
Oh yeah, Rare.
You know,
their launch on the Xbox.
right? Maybe not the greatest game in historical context. Like, all the games they made before that might have been better. And
Somebody's winning auctions.
right, no, that's the Gallup poll actually.
Oh.
Right? I was like, oh, you can call me anytime, but not at 9 o'clock at night, please. I'm at work. So Grabbed by the Ghoulies, like, yeah, not probably one of the worst Rare games that had been made at that point, but when you play it out of context, when you just go, here's a system I've never played in a game that I don't even know how it reviewed, and let me just try this. And even a game that's like, you don't even have to have been there to know that it wasn't great when it came out, like Galleon, which is the guy who made Tomb Raider. The person who came up with Tomb Raider had moved on and he was like, well, this is the new Tomb Raider, and Galleon, and it's about a pirate and more open world and blah blah blah. I knew that didn't review well, and it was in development hell forever. And, but again, I got to take this fresh take on it and not read reviews and not worry about it. And I got to go into all these games fresh, and it was amazing how much fun I had playing these games that I didn't need nostalgia for, in that I wasn't caught up in what the world was saying about them.
Yeah.
So when you can do that, I think it's amazing.
I'm when I was thinking about this, I think you're completely right. And there's been a couple systems like the Turbo Duo, the Turbo Graphics is something that I had very, very minimal, working or hands-on experience with before. I bought one as an adult and started collecting the games and had a blast with it.
How far removed from its release were you when you bought it? Like, how many?
Oh, it had to have been, because that came out around the same time as the NES, right? Couple years after the NES. So yeah, probably like 20 years. Because I got it when I was out of college, a few years out of college.
Okay.
But I kind of approached this from a perspective of, how games age, and is there a point where we look back? Because I think there's a pretty clear delineation in video games. Well, there's two of them, actually. I think the NES marks one. I think everything pre-NES operates on kind of different principles than post NES, post Super Mario Brothers games. Yep. And I think the 32-bit / 64-bit generation, there's another break where games started to become more cinematic, more narrative-driven. There was a lot more hand-holding or kind of like efforts to accommodate players, where you think about older stuff, like something like Simon's Quest or Battle for Olympus, where it's like you're in this... I mean, those are essentially big open-world games, right. And it's like you just have to kind of figure it out. Something like that. Like, can you go back and still appreciate that kind of game, or is that just like, can you look at it contextually and think like, okay, they did this at this time because this is what they were working with, but I can still enjoy this game,
right? Or
is it just like, no, this is bad?
The delineating markers that you were referring to. I totally agree with you. The NES marks one. Everything before that with ColecoVision and Television, Ataris, the old Ataris. You have. I think those games, everything before that, you really had to be playing those games when they came out to be able to go back and appreciate them. Well,
I think it's more just that they're doing something different.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a big fan. I don't really collect anything pre NES.
Same here.
And it's not a judgment against that stuff. It's just it's doing something different than what I'm interested in.
Right. There's an enjoyment factor. Like I don't play games for the most part for high scores.
Yeah.
A lot of those games were
that's
get
what,
the high score.
That's what they were.
But then, the other one where you said around the 32-bit era and 64-ish.
Yeah.
So the other part about that, other than just being more cinematic and hand-holdy, is that even okay? Is that thing? That's also when things started becoming 3D.
Yeah.
And the 3D transition was not a pretty one.
No.
We came out of the Super Nintendo and early PlayStation 1 where it's like where we had the best sprites possible. And the animation was so fluid, and you turned me on to The Adventures of Little Ralph, which I still...
wow, that was like...
Such a random...
when we first started hanging out, and I was just like, oh, hey, check out this game. And it's still one, like, I've played through the first, however many levels, and just like, this game is amazing. Okay.
Everything about it worked for me. It's like, that one just spoke to me.
Yeah.
And especially sometimes it's hard to find quality Japanese games that are totally playable without knowledge of the language.
Yeah.
That just work for me.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen all the time, but that one was perfect. Early 3D. I mean, I will give Nintendo some credit. I mean, Super Mario 64.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
But other 64 games, I mean, they're all like that muddy kind of like low res texture issue, and it's just got this Gorod shade. How do you pronounce that? The shading that's
garish.
No, it's like a specific type of shading. Anyway,
know.
it's what basically smooths everything out on the
Okay.
N64 and makes it look muddy. The PlayStation 1 didn't have. So the PlayStation 1 early 3D games, they're just as bad looking, but they're all pixelated instead of muddy.
Yeah.
Those are really hard to go back to.
Yeah.
And that's right around the same point that you were talking about, where things changed again.
Yeah.
Which sort of, I think, for both of us, those two markers are what start and end, like, my real obsession with video games. I like everything. I like things past the 32-bit era, but everything in the middle of those two markers are my favorite games.
Yeah. It's I actually had notes about that too. I was thinking about how difficult it is to go back to those early 3D games, and I think it's more to it than just the 3D though.
Yeah.
Because I think if you look back at something like, say, a Mega Man Legends, where the graphics were very stylized, the people were designed in kind of a blocky, anime, early cell shaded look. That's a much easier thing to digest, I think, than something
Ape
like
Escape.
Yeah. Well, Ape Escape was kind of more stylized. But then something like I'm trying to think of like a Tomb Raider or
that's very true.
Yeah, I think realistic graphics overall just never age very well, because that's always the push of technology, is to make things look more photorealistic, right. And so you're always going to be comparing the realistic graphics to whatever the current crop is.
Right.
So I think a big way to age proof games is to go for those more stylized visuals. I was thinking about something like an Okami, or even like a Wind Waker. Is going to age way better.
And they have.
Yeah. Than some of those games that went for the more realistic appearances.
Right. So something else, as far as nostalgia is concerned, Super Nintendo games. Like when I told you when I first started playing Demon's Crest, there was this moment that I got out of the first town and Firebrand flew up.
Yeah. And
suddenly there was this Mode 7 effect where I could see the whole world and fly around it in 3D, and I was like, oh right, I fucking love the Super Nintendo. This is my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I love this. And so there are games, that I never played before. Demon's Crest.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy III, Illusion of Gaia. Like, these are games that I picked up recently, and I'm nostalgic for, because the style of the graphics alone just like bring me back to the 16-bit era. And it makes me nostalgic for a time more than the game.
Yeah.
So it actually, nostalgia works on a bunch of different levels.
Yeah.
Whereas, let's take a random game. I loved Eco. I thought it was an amazing game when it came out on the PS2, and at the time it probably was. But then going through and trying to play it on the PS3 HD Team Eco collection, it's like, man, like it still looks kind of nice, but it doesn't feel very good.
Yeah.
You know, how come I'm jumping with a button and grabbing onto a ledge with another button, and like, why am I falling off of ledges and stuff? Like, so there are certainly exceptions.
Yeah, but what you said about nostalgia for a time as opposed to a specific game. So I guess that's what I'm kind of wondering. Do we only like these types of things because that's when we were kids? Like,
yes.
I mean,
see you next week, everybody.
So long. End of the podcast.
No,
or is there just intrinsically good game design there? You know, and that's what we're appreciating. Because I mean, you're totally right. And I remember somebody on a forum that I was for a website that I was writing for said something about like, oh well, you know, we only like these games because we were there. Like kids nowadays don't like that stuff, and you know, and I thought, well, that's bullshit. Like there's tons of games, like you were saying, like Demon's Crest. I came to that one as an adult. I played most of the Genesis games that I played, like as an adult. Shining Force, I played for the first time, like later on in college, and I was like, "Oh, this is great."
Right.
But again, is it just that nostalgia for that time, or is there? I mean, I think there's something more. I think there's still you can still differentiate between good game design.
Oh, absolutely. There are tons of Super Nintendo games that have decent graphics, that use Mode 7, that have like that very distinct SNES sound chip music, but they're not good games, and I don't want to play them. Yeah. There are a ton of those. There's more of those than the games I want to play, for sure. And also, I mean, the Dreamcast kind of falls into like a weird category here, because I feel like the Dreamcast is when 3D graphics started getting better, but they still weren't really refined. So there are games like Zombie Revenge that I play, and I still think, hey, this game looks pretty good for its time. But then recently I played The Ring, and nothing about that game could have saved it for me. Right? Like, I mean, I was like, I love Dreamcast games.
Yeah.
I don't love all Dreamcast games. You know, like The Ring, the music was horrible, and the graphics were horrible, and the control was horrible, and just because it was on the Dreamcast doesn't mean I was going to like it.
Yeah.
And I proved that.
Yeah. The Dreamcast is a funny system because it's you know, right on the cusp of that, you know, 128-bit generation. I almost feel like the Dreamcast is like an arcade machine. It's almost kind of going back to those pre-NES days, but it's like a modern console.
Yeah. That's how I feel when I play Armada on Dreamcast, which I think is a really great game. But yeah, it's like very arcadey.
Yeah,
the whole feeling of it.
Yeah, no, I do think that it's more than just, you know, nostalgia.
But so, and I think we've talked about this before, but obviously this is the time to bring it back up.
Yeah.
As collectors, we have all of these games that we love at our fingertips all the time. And there are games that I kind of wish, I mean, I feel like I need to have as part of the collection, but I never want to play again because I think Panzer Dragoon Saga went down as probably my favorite RPG experience of all time. I've told the story about how I came to it. I've told the story about how it was the perfect game at the perfect time, and emotionally it hit me perfectly. And I was probably pretty drunk, but I cried during the ending. And I played the first 20 minutes of it when I picked it back up recently, and I was like, I think I'm just going to ruin the memory, ruin the great nostalgia I had for this game if I play through it, because it doesn't look as good as I remember. It doesn't control as good.
It's not a pretty game.
It's not. I mean, for the Saturn, it's one of the better looking games. But yeah, it, like most Saturn games, most Saturn 3D games, didn't age very well.
Yeah.
Do you have games that are your Panzer Dragoon Saga that you don't want to go back to because you have such great memories?
Not.
Sorry if I'm derailing the
No.
conversation.
I think this is exactly what I wanted to talk about, because it's getting into like appreciating the game as a game as a piece of art, as an experience, versus appreciating that time. And I think for those of us who were like indoor kids and grew up playing video games, those are sorry, Mom, those those were very formative experiences for us. And there have been a number of games that I've gone back to that were like really, really spoke to me at the time that I played them. And I went back and I was like, these are just not that good. Yeah. But for me, I can detach the experience from the game itself. Like, it doesn't ruin the memory. Like, Secret of Mana was such a defining game for me. I was just starting to get into like RPGs and games that were more than just like running right and jumping, and realizing that they had stories. And Mana's pretty dark. Most of the it's interesting. Most of the non Final Fantasy Square games, I feel like, get pretty dark. A lot of characters die. Like it's grim. The female character spends the whole game trying to rescue her boyfriend, basically, and then he like dies right at the end of the game.
Spoiler.
Yeah, sorry, spoilers.
I think
for
we expired.
Fucking 20-year-old game.
It's okay. Now Mana is one of those. Was one of the first multiplayer RPGs. Yep. Now, did you play through with somebody else?
Occasionally, yeah. It was never like I was playing. In fact, I usually tried to like. I was kind of a dick when I multiplayed with Mana, because it can be kind of a tough game if you're not all playing in sync. Okay. If you don't know how to take down the bosses. So I probably was not very much fun to play with when I was playing like with the goal of getting anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played with like my brother or some of my friends, but I went through most of it solo. And I remember thinking like, God, this is such a like powerful game. The story is amazing. Like this is moving me. Yeah. And I went back and replayed it, and it's a mid-tier 16-bit RPG. There's some really great atmospheric touch, artistic atmospheric touches, and the music is phenomenal. Like no argument there. But as far as like an actual story, it's pretty samey, 16-bit RPG stuff.
Gotcha.
But I can still appreciate, like, as a kid, how much it meant to me without, like, as an adult having to feel like, no, I need to just protect this in a little sacred bubble.
That's what I'm worried about. So, as far as, like, Panzer Dragoon Saga is concerned, I got to that, like, 1 hour mark, and I was like, nope, going to stop right here. But I feel like the longer you play something, the more you're able to transport yourself back in time. Yeah. And sort of forget. You get accustomed to the controls, and you forget how bad they might be. Or they might have been great at the time. Who knows? Yeah. So it's possible that, if I played through the entire game again, I could have an amazing experience, because those extraneous concerns that I had, I think would just melt away. Yeah. So, now, I had an interesting experience a couple of years ago. I am a huge fan of all LucasArts adventure games. From the absolute beginning. Maniac Mansion, Zack McCracken, Monkey Island, all of them, and then, Fate of Atlantis, Indiana Jones. And then I dropped off, I think right after they peaked, or maybe right before they peaked, because I did say that I never played Grim Fandango, which I will play again, and I never played Full Throttle. But the one game that I always wanted to play, that was, again, right after I quit, or maybe I can't remember why I didn't play it, but it was The Dig. Okay, yeah. And it was one made with LucasArts and I think Steven Spielberg. And I was like, wow, like what a great adventure this is going to be. And I started playing, and to be fair, I think I was playing it on my PSP Scum emulation. So it's maybe not the best place to play an epic adventure. Yeah. But wow, I could not get into it for the life of me. like zero interest. Whereas if I was playing that game, even within the same 5 years that it came out in, I think I would have looked at it and been like, this is a new experience. This is something foreign to me that I need to like really learn and enrapture myself with. So I think there are certain games like this that if you let too much time go, that it might not be possible to bring yourself to the right place to play it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's so much about the game as it is about us and just getting older.
True.
You know, because there's definitely times where it's the same exact thing. Like I'll look at a game or I'll start playing the beginning portion of it and I'll think, oh, if I was at this point in my life, I would really be enjoying this. Where now I'm just not. You know, and it won't even be an issue of like, you know, I've moved past this game. It could just be like right now, like my headspace where I am right now in my life. Like I just don't have I need a different type of game. I need something that's like fast or more mindless, or I do need some big RPG that I can just kind of go on autopilot in. Like I don't want to have to, you know, think and really focus.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of it because I have tried probably 3 or 4 times to start Broken Sword. Which is the same kind of thing.
Right.
And I know this is a game that I will really enjoy, but I think every time I've tried to start it, it hasn't been that right time. It hasn't been that kind of game for me.
I think I've started 3 different Broken Swords.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah, and but there's nothing wrong with it. It's not like the game is doing anything badly. It's just I'm not in that headspace to play point-and-click adventure games. And I think rather than trying to force it through, I just say like, nope, you know, when I'm ready, that's what I'll go play. And this almost ties it back a little bit to what we were saying about collecting earlier. There have definitely been some times in my life where games have sat on the shelf forever, and then one day I'll be like, that game, that's what I'm in the mood to play right now, and it will, you know, it'll go in the system, and then for the next, you know, week or two, that's what I'll focus on, and I'll be like, I'm super glad that I had that right there.
Yep. I think I had Super Metroid, and Gunman's Proof sitting on my shelf for years.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
Never touched. And then I got sick 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I was in bed for 9 days, and by the end of it all, this is when I decided to start doing the backlogged episodes, because I was like, I'm gonna finally play these games. And I couldn't believe that awesome adventures like that had just been sitting there waiting for me the whole time. And yeah, I mean, I played both of those games. I beat both of them over the course of 2 days.
Yeah.
And they were both phenomenal games. So I don't know, Mike. I don't want to. Yeah, unfortunately, this is where part 1 has to end. We're running over time.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of did a nice overview this week.
Yeah.
I think next week maybe we can get into some more specific titles.
Sure.
And talk about why they worked for us and why they didn't.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's good. It sounds like a plan.
Excellent. Are you still going to be playing your RPGs this week, Xeno?
Yeah.
So are you playing Xenoblade in preparation for what's the new Xenoblade game coming out?
Oh, it's the same game. It's being re-released. It's being ported to the 3DS. Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, no, I think... you know, it's funny because it's a game on the one hand, one of these huge, sprawling, you know, RPGs with a lot of little side quests that you can kind of... that like I would love to have on a handheld, but it's so dependent upon the graphic processor of a console, I think, because it's the big thing about Xenoblade is that like anywhere you're standing on the map, like if you look around, like any place that has like terrain, like you can go there. That's you know, it's almost like Fallout 3. I remember when you first come out of the vault and you look around and like you look way down the horizon to these buildings, like that's where you're going, you know, and you can just start walking there.
Right.
It's the same thing with Xenoblade, and I can't imagine that the 3DS can really handle that. The preliminary reviews I was reading said things were a little choppy in some places.
That's too bad.
Yeah. No, I'm just playing it because it's, again, a huge game that's been sitting on my shelf for a while. And it was like, that was the big, the big Wii RPG that everyone wanted, that we were all clamoring about. So I feel like I have to get through it.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to be playing Bloodborne.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to let... If you want to do a Bloodborne comparison, that would be a good episode to have John around for. We could talk about Demon Souls.
Is he by any chance playing Bloodborne?
No, he is in law school.
No time for Bloodborne. No. All right, that would be...
We can put that on the back burner.
God, I would love if he was playing Bloodborne, then he could come in and just basically take over the show for 2 hours. And I could just sit back and draw pictures.
Yeah, nice.
In my notebook. Excuse me. Yeah, I've got a lot of other games I'm interested in playing. Those OCD reproductions came in.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, man, Moon Crystal is so cool.
Yeah, it's like Prince of Persia, kind of, isn't it?
So if you watch like a quick video, that's what it looks like. It's basically just the animation style and your ability to grab onto ledges and climb up and stuff. But basically, it's really a solid platformer. It's one of those that's like, why didn't this come to the U.S.?
Yeah, it was too late. It was such a late release, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable to see graphics like that on the original NES. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I've got a lot of stuff to play while I'm being distracted by Bloodborne. Yeah. Anyway, as always, I'm for... So yeah, and I have to go to work now.
Yeah. Awesome.
No, so like as always, if you have anything you want us to talk about, if you like something we did, hate something we did, you just
probably the second one,
right? We are both single and available. So leave your phone numbers down below under the comments. You got anything to add?
Those bots now, like
yeah, right. You got anything to add?
No. I think we're set to jet.
All right. So for Gaming Without Parole, I'm Brian Paul.
And I'm Mike Zeller.
We'll see you next week.